Good morning, good afternoon. This is the explanation for Tuesday, May 16th, when I will be absent. I believe that I explained everything in class, but if you missed or weren't paying attention, here's a brief synopsis again, and I'm going to hide my fat head for a moment and give you that synopsis. Basically, the Mexican Revolution, African nationalism, slides 1 through 4. We pretty much we've done the notes either through Ed Puzzle and in notes in class, which I've attached. The African nationalism notes. So there's a brief form that you can answer as many times as you need to get them right. This is in lieu of a pair deck. So this is your first thing that should be done by Tuesday, end of the day. And then we're going to look at some historical skills. So this will be posted A26. We're going to start looking at historical skills, which we've looked at numerous times before. Some of this will be scored as an assessment grade, some of it's practice, depending on just kind of like the genocide notebook. So the first thing is that we learned about Japan's aggression in leading into WW2 as an imperial power. Those of you that have US or even have looked at history know about Japan and Pearl Harbor, etc. Well, they did the same sort of aggression with uh, through China. Remember, China had to stop their civil war under threat of their generals to focus. So this is an excerpt from a text about a massacre at the nationalist capital of Nanjing. So talking about Japanese soldiers, one an officer, two were shot to death in Shanghai. After this incident, the hostilities between China and Japan escalated. Military officials thought Shanghai's Japanese thought he would surrender, but Chiang Kai-shek moved. So this is in August of 37. Many Chinese soldiers were killed by Japanese troops called the Nanking Incident. Um, then you've got another text excerpt that looks at the massacre from 37. The military captured Nanjing. The Japanese military committed bloody atrocities against prisoners of war, killing them in extremely cruel ways with mass execution. According to statistics, the deaths was about 300,000. Remember, we learned about what an atrocity is when you did your World War I project board. Atrocities are massacres or violence against civilians, not against military personnel, but when civilians are involved in mass deaths like Holocaust, genocides, the Armenian genocide. Those are examples of obviously atrocities, and this was considered an atrocity. This massacre at Nanking. Now, unlike the past, this one's going to ask you to look at and decide A or B which biographical information fits with which text. Would it be the standard textbook published by Beijing? Notice which one's going to be published by Beijing, probably the one that's going to be more neutral, or the one that's going to be published in Tokyo with the new history textbook. Remember that history is written by, whose perspective is it going to be from? Is the idea? Remember which one makes the Chinese look more like the victim, and which one makes the Japanese look a little bit more neutral, a little bit better in a more neutral sense. And then the period this was written by, as you can see, what type of document is this? Obviously, it's published in 99. So you can see that if it's published in 99, it's going to be some sort of secondary source. But what's the purpose of writing this? I said that in class that a lot of these professors write because they have to write. And he's talking about, rape victims, female rape victims, foreign observers, murdered civilians, other contemporary Chinese estimates. Would give you robbery, women, arson, the city in ruins. So a period of terror and destruction that ranked the worst in the history of modern warfare. So he gives a very good description of this and then asks you, do you think this is reliable? Well, think about who's doing the research or whether you think this is reliable. Now, this part we'll worry about in a bit if you want to keep going with this. This is the part that's assessed 2 to 3 ways that his account compares or contrasts to the Japanese textbook expenses account, and then 2 to 3 ways it compares 2 to 3 ways that it compares or contrasts with the Chinese textbook. Once we get that figured out, so you can start in on that. This is the assessed part. This will end up being the assessed part, but right now you just worry about slides 2 and 3 to complete slides 1 through 3. to complete. World Between the Wars and what happened at Nanking, the Japanese massacre at Nanking. Okay, next. So last let me erase this. Let me erase this here. So okay, let me erase this and clear the screen and move on to um, let me move on to the last bit of business, which is one thing we've had before, and we've looked at India extensively. And just to kind of bring us back as we start to get into Gandhi, let's look at just to bring us back as we start getting into Gandhi. Let's look at the situation with let's look at the situation with India, evaluating perspective. So this is from Sir John A.R. Marriott. And we know somebody that's a sir is going to be a person that is going to be an English person. And he's talking about the English accomplishments. We've done this when we did the play. So is the author Indian or British? What does he say that has benefited? What way does he say that British imperialism has benefited India? Look at the text, and give an account based on the evidence here. And then knowing what you know about imperialism with the British, but why would the British put so much effort in? Was it really to benefit the Indians? Again, go back to our learning about what the purpose of the British occupation was. The last one is from Nehru, The Discovery of India. This is talking about from the Indian perspective. I just gave it away, and looking at, remember our play that we had, and when we did the skit with Princess Di and then Prince William and stuff. What the Satish and McCartney did that. What did they say about the British being there, and then what did the Indians think about their occupation? And that I had done these, I had almost put these in the imperialism section, but I ended up putting them here just as a review. Knowing what you know about mercantilism with the British, why would the British want to break up India's industries? Remember what mercantilism is. It's benefiting the colonies, mining as much money out of the colonies as possible, through goods and markets and raw materials and markets. So think about that. Why would they want to break up India's industries for their benefit? Okay, so again, source 1 and 2 for Wednesday 5/17. Source the text between documents 2 and 3. What happened in Nanking, and then the African Mexican Revolution practice quiz on the form. Now again, I didn't punch in time for screw around, so sorry. In fact, the forum probably could have been done on Monday afternoon, based Monday ed class, based on where we were at. So didn't really set aside time for that. Didn't set aside time for a lot of in between. Figure about a half hour for each, for 20 to 25 minutes for each activity, and it should be able to finish in class.